Welcome to this deep dive into Kerala, a land often celebrated for its high literacy, impressive healthcare, and remarkable human development indicators. Yet, beneath this veneer of progress lies a complex and at times contradictory reality: the enduring presence of caste-based discrimination. Join us as we unravel this paradox, tracing the historical roots of this social hierarchy, examining its modern-day manifestations, and considering the long journey towards a truly equitable society. Before the formation of the state of Kerala in 1956, the region was characterized by an exceptionally rigid and intricate caste system. Unlike the more widely known fourfold Varna system, Kerala's hierarchy placed Malayali Brahmins, the Nambudiris, at the very top. Most other communities were relegated to Shudra, or even Avarna status, existing outside the traditional Varna framework. This wasn't just about social standing, it manifested in extreme forms of segregation. Imagine a society where physical distance dictated social interaction. A Nair could be near a Nambudiri, but an Ejava couldn't approach or touch either. The indignities were profound. Lower caste individuals faced restrictions on using public pathways, were forced to make loud noises to warn upper castes of their approach, and women from certain communities were even denied the right to cover their upper bodies. In truly horrific instances, Nairs were even permitted to kill a Pulayar on sight, if encountered on a public road. The Nambudiri Brahmins and the Nair community held significant social and political power during this era. However, even in these oppressive times, the seeds of change were being sown. Visionary social reformers emerged, challenging these deeply entrenched, discriminatory practices. Figures like Ayyankali, who bravely defied restrictions by traveling in a bullock cart on public roads, and Sree Narayana, the champion of the marginalized Ejava community, advocated for a radical idea: one caste, one religion, one God for mankind. The year 1956 marked a turning point with the formation of the state of Kerala. The ideals enshrined in the Indian Constitution, which outlawed discrimination based on caste under Article 15, and abolished untouchability through Article 17, offered a new promise. The Untouchability Offences Act of 1955, later renamed the Protection of Civil Rights Act, provided a legal framework to penalize these abhorrent practices. The initial decades following Kerala's formation witnessed significant land reforms and the rise of powerful communist movements. These socio-political shifts aimed to address the deep-rooted inequalities, including those stemming from the caste system. Land reforms empowered tenants, many of whom belonged to lower castes, by granting them ownership rights, thus reducing economic disparities. The communist movement, with its focus on egalitarianism and social justice, also played a crucial role in challenging traditional caste hierarchies and promoting social mobility. Yet the deeply ingrained nature of caste in Kerala's social fabric meant that the complete eradication of discrimination remained a distant aspiration. The period from the 1990s onwards saw increased media penetration and a growing assertiveness among Dalit and other marginalized communities. This led to greater public awareness of the persistent issue of caste discrimination. While overt forms of discrimination may have become less publicly acceptable, more subtle and insidious forms continued to exist in various aspects of life. Even in the present day, caste discrimination remains a challenge. Recent controversies surrounding temples serve as stark reminders. The Kudal Manikyam temple faced protests over the appointment of a man from the Ejava community, ultimately leading to his resignation amidst allegations of caste bias. Similarly, at the Pioneer temple, the chief priest's act of placing a lamp on the floor instead of handing it to a Dalit minister sparked widespread condemnation. The cultural sphere too is not immune, with Dalit artists reportedly facing discrimination, and denied opportunities in temples and other venues. Caste discrimination sadly persists in employment as well. The case of Roshan, an assistant bank manager who allegedly faced relentless harassment and casteist slurs from superiors, culminating in his transfer, highlights this troubling reality. Data from aided educational institutions reveals a significant underrepresentation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in teaching and non-teaching positions, suggesting systemic biases in hiring practices. Even in general hiring and promotions, caste can subtly influence decisions. In education, disturbing reports of discrimination against Dalit students continue to surface, including allegations of caste-based remarks, segregation within classrooms, and unfair treatment. Beyond these overt acts, subtle forms of discrimination permeate social interactions, with caste-based remarks and preferences, particularly in marriage, remaining prevalent. Social exclusion based on caste continues to shape social circles and even housing preferences. The unequal distribution of social and cultural capital further perpetuates these hidden forms of discrimination, creating barriers for individuals from marginalized castes in accessing opportunities. A less discussed aspect is the presence of caste discrimination within religious minorities, particularly the Christian community. Discrimination exists, especially between dominant caste Syrian Christians and Dalit Christians, impacting church practices, social interactions, and employment in church-affiliated institutions. Historical practices like separate masses and reluctance towards intercaste marriages underscore these divisions. Data on the underrepresentation of Dalit Christians in teaching positions in Christian colleges further highlights this issue. Post-1956, Kerala has witnessed the continued efforts of social reform movements and the enactment of anti-caste legislation. Organizations like the SNDP continue their vital work, advocating for the rights and equality of backward communities. The state has legal frameworks in place such as the Protection of Civil Rights Act and the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act, aimed at preventing and penalizing caste-based discrimination. However, the persistence of discrimination suggests that these measures have had a mixed legacy. While they have provided legal recourse and raised awareness, their effectiveness is often hampered by implementation challenges and the deeply rooted nature of social prejudices. The consideration of a more comprehensive anti-discrimination law in Kerala acknowledges the limitations of the existing legal framework. Caste-based reservation policies in education, employment, and political representation have been a significant tool for promoting social justice and equity in Kerala. These policies aim to ensure adequate representation for historically marginalized communities. However, they are also a subject of ongoing debate, with concerns raised about their impact on meritocracy and the potential for perpetuating caste consciousness. Data on community representation in government jobs and aided institutions indicates that while some backward communities have achieved significant representation, disparities still exist, and the benefits of reservation might not always reach the most marginalized within these communities. The political sensitivity surrounding caste census and reservation policies further highlights the complex dynamics at play. Analyzing the trend of caste discrimination in Kerala since its formation presents a nuanced picture. While overt forms of untouchability and certain blatant practices have likely decreased due to legal prohibitions and increased social awareness, caste continues to be a significant factor shaping social and economic realities. Recent instances of discrimination in temples, employment, and education demonstrate its persistence. Subtle and systemic forms of discrimination, often perpetuated through social and cultural capital, likely continue to disadvantage marginalized communities. Statistical data on reported atrocities against scheduled castes in Kerala offers a glimpse into the trend of overt discrimination. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, the per capita rate of reported cases against SCs was 20.3 in 2016, and the total number of reported cases was 1,050 in 2022. While this limited data suggests a potential decrease in reported cases between 2016 and 2022, it is crucial to acknowledge that these figures might not capture the full spectrum of caste discrimination, especially the more subtle and hidden forms. Furthermore, socioeconomic disparities based on caste continue to persist. In conclusion, the battle against caste discrimination in Kerala is an ongoing and multifaceted challenge. While the state has made significant strides in social development and has a history of progressive movements and legislative reforms, the deeply entrenched nature of caste prejudice means that its complete eradication remains an unfinished task. The trend suggests a shift from overt to more subtle forms of discrimination, but the persistence of these biases in various spheres of life underscores the need for continued vigilance and sustained efforts. Addressing systemic inequalities, enforcing anti-discrimination laws more effectively, promoting social integration across caste lines, and challenging ingrained prejudices through education and awareness campaigns are crucial steps towards achieving a truly equitable and casteless society in Kerala. The video ends with a call to action, perhaps encouraging viewers to learn more, share their perspectives in the comments, and support efforts towards social justice. Background music fades out.